In this presentation, we're going to talk about the 3 challenges every leader must face. Now, granted, there are plenty of challenges that leaders already face as it is, and it's more than just the 3 we'll be listing. As for what those challenges are, they are perhaps the most critical that every leader must be aware of. So, without further ado, let's get right into it with the first one. Now, pay close attention. The first one, of course, is how they want to change things. You want to make major changes to the way things operate in your business. This may involve new policies or way your company will be performing tasks going forward. For example, let's say you're considering the idea of making your company 100% remote. You've considered the idea and see more good than bad. So you go over the idea with your employees, and it's a no-brainer. They all say yes. But let's say that later on you want to scale back the remote thing and want to go with a hybrid model or have everyone back in the office. One of these options won't be met with as much enthusiasm as, say, going remote. So it's important to discuss this with your workers. Would they be more apt to work in a hybrid setting where they can be at the office at least once or maybe twice a week? Or would it make sense if they worked at the office all 5 days? Survey your workers and see which one will be a good idea. Then make the decision. I'd be more apt to go with a compromise that will not only benefit you, but also your workers. You want to make changes that both you and your employees welcome. These critical big changes should be something that your employees will need to be aware of ahead of time. The second greatest challenge is making a decision to let someone go. So, let's say your company cannot financially sustain the current number of employees you have right now. Unfortunately, this means you'll need to cut a few people. This is where things get tough. The decisions you make will alter lives. It will alter their financial future, or at least for the foreseeable future anyway. These employees have families to take care of, and they have regular payments to make. So it's important to carefully decide who may be sent their walking papers as part of this cut-down. You want to weigh a few metrics such as whether or not they are the most productive people in your company. What is their current situation outside of work like? Are they getting paid a little more than others? All of these factors are going to come into play here. The decisions you make won't be popular within the company. However, some people will come around and understand why you had to let the employees go, while others may leave your company in disgust and protest. Last but not least is finding that work-life balance. I get it. As a leader, you're going to be busy with plenty of things, and that all comes with the territory. However, it's important for you to set an example. Allow your employees to work for a certain time, and then use the rest of the day to rest, relax with family, and come back refreshed tomorrow. The same should apply to you. This is a decision you can discuss within the company. What kind of needs do they have? How will it make more sense to adjust the scales of work-life balance? This has been a presentation of the 3 challenges every leader must face, and I hope you've learned something from it. Be aware of these challenges and make the best possible decisions going forward. In this tutorial, you're going to learn about 5 books that will help build self-discipline. This is a skill that every leader must have. If you're someone who wants to read something for self-improvement and to gain new knowledge, stick around. Let's cut to the chase and list these 5 books starting with number 1. And this one has quite an amusing title. First, we have Eat That Frog by Brian Tracy. This is perhaps one of the best books on beating procrastination and maximizing your productivity. So you're probably thinking, where did the author get the title for this book? Well, it comes from a quote by Mark Twain. He famously said, "If it's your job to eat a frog, it's best to do it first thing in the morning. And if it's your job to eat 2 frogs, it's best to eat the biggest one first." In other words, it's a good idea to get the most important or unpleasant tasks out of the way before getting to the ones that are nicer or not so important. Second, we have The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg. It talks about habits and the science behind them. So if you're looking to break bad habits and replace them with new ones, then this is the obvious choice. Third, we have The Marshmallow Test by Walter Mischel. Here's an interesting fact. The author of this book was 84 years old by the time of its release. If anything, it's never too late to get started on something you desire to do, whether that's starting a business or setting and conquering a huge goal. Anyway, this book is based on a study that was done at Stanford University. It was a study on self-control and how people just look at a marshmallow and resist the temptation to eat it. This will give you a glimpse at how important self-control is. Fourth, we have The War of Art by Stephen Pressfield. If you're someone who is the creative type, this is a must-read, and I'm dead serious here when I say that. So the book is separated into 3 parts: resistance, combating resistance, and beyond resistance. By the way, even if you aren't a creative person or even a business owner, I highly suggest that you read this, because this is a book that can help you break your bad habits and be able to live life while having full control over it. The 5th and final book is The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy. This will not only help you to make small decisions and acquire those small wins, it will also help you snowball that into even greater heights of success. This applies to almost all the areas in your life. If you need a book to add to your personal library, this is the one you might want. By the way, this is a book that will help you stay the path and turn your small wins into large ones. The sooner you read this, the better off you'll be. And that'll do it for this presentation. Before we leave, I want to say that self-discipline is critical when it comes to your business and personal lives. You want to break bad habits and replace them with new ones. You want to make sure that you do your part to build a level of self-discipline that will make it easier to say no. These are 5 books that I highly recommend you read. I believe that there are others that I didn't mention, but don't worry, I might do another one of these presentations for 5 more of these books in the not-so-distant future. In this presentation, we're going to go over 5 leaders that you should learn from and discuss what makes them great. I want to emphasize that while you should incorporate your own leadership style, you'll want to consider getting some kind of inspiration from these leaders in terms of how they handled times of crisis, managed their time, or dealt with any kind of critical situation that they faced. Let's begin with the first leader on our list, and that is Dwight D. Eisenhower. He was an army general and supreme commander of the Allied forces in Europe during World War II. He later served 2 terms as President of the United States. He developed a model for time management known as the Eisenhower matrix. He created a 4-sided matrix where he would plan and prioritize his tasks from urgent and important to, well, not urgent and not important. So if he had a task in the upper left-hand corner, that was urgent and important and he needed to get it done. Whereas if it was urgent but not important, he could delegate it to someone else. Google more information about the Eisenhower matrix and put it to good use if you want to manage your time. Second on the list, we have Walt Disney. He made a crucial decision that could either make or break his production company, whether he should or should not make a feature-length animated cartoon. He decided to press ahead, despite nobody having made such a movie before. When Snow White and the 7 Dwarfs came out in 1937, it saved the Disney Corporation from bankruptcy. Since then, it has become one of the more recognized companies in the world. This happened because Disney had to make a decision that may either save his company or drive it under. He wasn't afraid to take risks, and it paid off big time. Number 3 on the list is someone who perhaps was one of the greatest communicators the world has ever known: Sir Winston Churchill. He was the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom during World War II, and he spoke regularly to the people of the country. He did it so people would understand him. During his speeches, he would inject a bit of humour and keep people on their toes. He knew what to say and how to say it, and the country listened. He was credited for saving the United Kingdom from Hitler and the Nazis. 4th on the list, whether you're religious or not, is Mother Teresa of Calcutta. She is someone whom I consider a great leader because of her emphasis on compassion. She spent much of her life helping the poor, the sick, and the dying. She cared for them and did everything she could to help lighten the workload of other people who worked along with her. Needless to say, she was kind, was able to listen to people, and was able to empathize with them. Last on the list is Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. His famous "I have a dream" speech was perhaps one of the greatest given by someone who has never held a political office. He did it in a time when he wanted people to live together in peace without resentment. He was able to push through his cause without using violence, despite facing it himself, including his assassination in 1968. He wanted a peaceful resolution and made sure it was done. We could give credit to him, along with the others who fought alongside him to defeat segregation in the United States, for the passing of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. These 5 leaders have been instrumental in their leadership skills, and you may draw inspiration from them in the way you may be leading yourself. If you like this presentation, please let us know. In this presentation, we're going to talk about 5 tips for fighting imposter syndrome. As a leader, you might struggle with this sometimes, and it's understandable. You may feel that being in a leadership role is not part of who you are, or you might feel like you do not belong here. So, to that end, we're going to talk about some tips that you can use to conquer imposter syndrome and lead as yourself every single time. Before we begin, let's get into the definition of imposter syndrome. It's defined as having that sense of self-doubt based on your accomplishments, particularly in business. So you'll feel like you got here based on luck, or feel like you need to pull yourself away from others so no one knows the method to your madness, so to speak. There are so many symptoms of imposter syndrome, and those are 2 of the major ones. With that said, let's take a look at 5 tips to combat it. Here we go. Number 1, you want to recognize the symptoms and signs. So again, that includes feeling like you got lucky to land a leadership position, or you hold yourself to very high standards. You may find it difficult to accept praise, and of course, you may feel like you're not good enough. So you want to be aware of this. Self-awareness will allow you to catch yourself saying certain things or making certain actions. So with that in mind, if you notice that you are displaying the symptoms, then make sure you're able to correct them soon. Second, you want to make sure that you are not alone in this fight. You may be one of many leaders that have suffered from this. I wouldn't be surprised if leaders like Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, or even Queen Elizabeth II might have secretly suffered from some kind of imposter syndrome. Third, you want to accept the fact that being a perfectionist is pointless. Settle for having a task done. It's good enough and it accomplished a certain goal. Look, nothing will ever be perfect. There are rare cases where perfection happens, but other than that, you have a better chance of winning the lottery than achieving perfection, and even that's a challenge on its own. Fourth, I believe it's important to be kind to yourself. Everyone starts at 0. You started from somewhere, and it certainly wasn't the top of the mountain. You want to make sure that you talk to yourself in a positive way, especially if you suffer from a setback. You don't want to get into the negative self-talk, because repeated amounts of it will become part of your belief system. You don't want that. Believe in the positive. Believe in yourself and the actions will show. Finally, the 5th tip is to seek out a mentor for help. Each leader had a mentor, and I know you did as well. So, if something feels off, you can reach out to them for questions or advice. They'll make sure to point you in the right direction. And you might feel encouraged to continue because they are perhaps the reason why you're in a leadership position in the first place. So, with that said, I hope you enjoyed this presentation. I want to close by saying that imposter syndrome is nothing new with leaders. It's actually easier to defeat than you realize. So, follow these tips, take claim of what's yours, and really own it. In this presentation, we're going to take a look at 6 online resources that will help you get and stay organized. Yes, organization can be a challenge. And yet, we live in an age where it can be done in a digital setting. With so many online resources out there, you'd be hard-pressed to choose some of the best that will keep you organized day in and day out. Let's take a look at 6 of the ones that I think are worth checking out. First off is Evernote. This app can be a miracle worker for those who want to write down ideas and access them via the cloud. You can open up your Evernote app on your phone, write it down, and you can access it on a computer if you need to. This saves notes, web pages, and so much more. And you can share it with other Evernote users. Next on the list we have none other than Google Drive. So you have your files accessed via the cloud. You also have Google Docs, Slides, Sheets, and so on. You'll have synchronized organization with the touch of a button. If you need to access your files just about anywhere, Google Drive has you covered. Third is Asana, and I cannot tell you how many times this has helped me out when it comes to doing team tasks. And it has all kinds of tools for those who are working together as a team. This includes messaging, storing files, progress tracking, assigning tasks. It's a Swiss Army knife of organization tools. Without this app, I don't know how I can get through life. The good news is that it's free for teams that have 15 people or less, and you have unlimited usage of so many tasks there. So, if you're looking for a productivity tool that's loaded with features and is free of charge to an extent, you'd be insane not to give Asana a try. Fourth, we're going to take a look at Mint. I get it, the monetary side of handling a business can be a challenge. And for that reason, I would be remiss if I didn't include Mint. You can be able to build a budget, get reports on spending and saving that are easy to understand, set up alerts for any potential unauthorized charges, the whole 9 yards. I dare say this is the Asana of financial apps. So if you're looking to keep your finances in order, Mint may just be the best possible option. And it's safe and secure as well. Fifth, we have LastPass. Okay, we hate it when we forget our passwords, and we don't have the time to play guessing games. So for this reason, you have a free password tool that will keep all your passwords in one place. And it's safe, secure, and compatible with many of the web browsers we use today. Plus you get autofill, which will make it easy and quick. Last but not least, we have Pocket. Oh yes, this is perfect for when you want to save some videos and articles for later. You may not have time to read or watch them because things are hectic and busy. No problem. All it takes is one click of a mouse or one touch of your phone screen. Boom, it's saved. So you won't have to spend hours later trying to hunt it down. Well, that's it for the 6 online resources to help you get and stay organized. I hope this was helpful to you, and we'll see you next time. In this presentation, we're going to talk about 6 tips on how to have difficult conversations. This can be with an employee that you may be planning on letting go, or this may be to a group of people. Needless to say, this is one of the greatest challenges as a leader, because this may or may not involve decisions where it can alter the future of someone's life. Since this topic has a lot of gravity, let's begin. First, you want to survey the situation. What is causing this difficult conversation to happen? Is the company undergoing a financial crisis, for example? Is there a problem where you may have to let people go? From there, you'll want to plan out how you're going to break any bad news to anyone, be it an individual or the entire group of employees. Second, it's important to set a time for it. You want to make sure it happens at a time when you are not disrupting the employee or the group. There are 2 best times to do this, either at the end of the day or the end of the week. It's important not to do it beforehand because it will likely affect the workers' productivity. They won't be able to focus on getting the tasks at hand done. So resist the urge to say what you have to say right away and hang on until there is a good opportunity to sit down and have this discussion. Third, you need to present the facts. What is warranting this difficult decision? It's important that you do your homework, get the facts straight, and let the employee or group know. You don't want to use any kind of terms that can confuse or easily be misunderstood. You want to make sure that you have the data to back up your facts if necessary. For example, if there is financial trouble, show the charts that prove the data and facts. Fourth, it's important to give your employee or employees the opportunity to speak. Give them their say on the matter. Be sure you're listening, and make sure to repeat what they say if possible to ensure you understand them correctly. Take notes, and be sure to ask any additional questions. Fifth, you want to document the conversation. Keep a record of what was being said between you and the employees. You want to make sure things are clear and easy to understand. Don't put yourself in the position of having to try and remember everything. You can always go back and use the documents to see what was said. Finally, make a plan to resolve the conflict. If it's with one employee, it may be some kind of probationary period because of a rule violation. Or if it involves the entire company, you want to formulate a plan to correct the direction that the company may be going in. This may include budget cuts, laying people off, and so on. In such a situation, there will be more difficult conversations to come. With that said, I hope this presentation has been informative. As a leader, you need to be aware that having difficult conversations will come with the territory. Not only that, but these conversations will lead to actions that may be difficult in themselves. I can say for certain that you will have many difficult conversations for as long as you are in a leadership position. It's important to be prepared, remain calm, and make sure that you have the ability to communicate with the others involved. Thanks for watching this presentation, and take care. In this presentation, we'll be going over the 8 qualities of a great leader. This should serve as some kind of inspiration as you assume a leadership role in your own right. At the same time, you'll also want to keep these in mind whenever you have the opportunity to put yourself in a leadership position if such an opportunity were to arise. So let's cut right to the chase and get started with the first quality on our list. Number 1 is integrity. I think this is important because integrity is key in being a successful leader and in turn having a successful business. You want to hold on to your beliefs and never waver on them. At the same time, you want to do good on your promises and never cut corners. You want to take action and think things through. The last thing you want to do is lead when it's only you that gains something and everyone else gets nothing. Let's segue that into the next quality, and that's honesty. You want to be trusted and respected by them. If you lie to them or renege on any promise you may have made, you're going to get the exact opposite. Third on the list, we have innovation. A great leader will want to think of ideas that are outside of the box, the kind of ideas that are considered out of the norm. An innovative leader will want to listen to inputs from their team members and allow for discussion because there may be something better that comes along, and it might be an idea that's better than the original. The fourth quality on the list is being able to listen. And this sort of ties into the previous quality. You want to listen to what people are saying when you're having those discussions. At the same time, listening comes in handy when you want to discuss vital changes with your employees. You want to make a note of what they said because it can and will impact the decisions you make going forward. The fifth quality, and I believe this is perhaps one of the most vital, is being a strong communicator. It's perfect to follow up listening with this because this is half of the battle when it comes to communicating with your team members. You want to ask thought-provoking questions. At the same time, you want to discuss your thoughts on the matter. It's about getting your message across as effectively as possible. 6 is self-confidence. I've yet to meet a leader who is not confident in his or her abilities. If you believe in yourself and believe you can do the right thing, that's self-confidence. Even if people don't agree with the decision, you know that as a leader, you are confident in what's best for your business going forward. 7th, we have delegation. I think it goes without saying that you cannot do everything on the to-do list. You have priorities to focus on, so it's important to delegate certain tasks to those around you. And finally, number 8, we have decision-making skills. A great leader must be able to make decisions no matter how tough they are. Sometimes it takes some thinking over, and other times it's a race against time. It'll get to the point where you need to make a decision fast. It's do or die, sink or swim. There's not enough time to think. This ties into the problem-solving skills that you as a leader must have. I hope this presentation was informative, and if it was, please let us know. Thanks. In this tutorial, we'll talk about how you can uncover your own leadership style. It's important to positively identify the traits that will determine the kind of leader you are. So the question you want to ask yourself is, what type of leadership do I possess? Let's take a look at the following. For example, let's say that you are the founder and CEO of a startup. As the COVID-19 pandemic is winding down, you're considering whether or not your company can continue going remote only, or if you want to adopt a hybrid work schedule where people can work from home for much of the week and be in the office for just a few days. If you want to get your employees involved and have a voice in the matter, you could have a leadership style known as democratic leadership. You still have authority over the company and handle the day-to-day operations, yet you want to hear what your employees have to say about the major changes in company policy or the way the business operates and so on. So it's always a good idea to survey what your employees want. Are they happy with the remote setting? Would they be fine with a hybrid work model where they can spend at least one day a week at the office? Next, let's say you make the decision and terminate remote work. Everyone is back at the office, and that decision is final and no one gets a say on the matter. This is an example of autocratic leadership. This is common in certain industries such as the government or the military. You either follow those orders or you will be punished. Now, this may work in some industries, but in a majority of the business world, this can be a type of leadership that isn't going to win over too many people. The next leadership type that we'll be looking at is a complete 180 of autocratic leadership, but is different from democratic leadership. If you're someone that places your trust in employees to get the job done without any kind of guidance, you may be a laissez-faire leader. This is also a leader who trusts the employees to make most decisions. However, when it comes to the decisions vital to your company, you still have the authority to make them. But again, you may want to defer to that aspect of democratic leadership and let employees in on what could change. If you are a leader that wants people to be happy on either side, you may be a diplomatic leader. You possess a trait where either party is happy and negotiation is involved. If you're excellent at solving problems, this might be the kind of leadership that will be right up your alley. But problem solving should be a skill for every leader. Now, finally, let's take a look at this last leadership style. Are you someone that rewards good work and punishes bad work? If so, that's transactional leadership. You give them something in return for the work that they do, whether that's good or bad. It's a straightforward kind of leadership that works in plenty of industries and is prevalent in pro sports. If you're a star baseball player that hasn't hit home runs or continues to make errors when you're an outfielder or a baseman, you're going to get benched. If you perform well, then you get more playing time. Make sense? We hope this tutorial has been helpful, and I encourage you to take time to think about what leadership traits will match the style that best suits you. In this presentation, we're going to talk about how to use social media in the workplace. I think it goes without saying that this sounds like a not so good idea. However, there are ways to use it while at work, as well as ways not to use it. It doesn't matter what social media platform you, your employees, or your business is on. It's important to use it properly. So, let's get right to it. First, you want to use social media for promotional purposes. Your business may have a Facebook page, an Instagram, a Twitter feed, or whatever else. The challenge is finding out where your target audience hangs out and which platform they use regularly. You might have a special sale going on, and you might want to post it throughout the social media channels where you're most active. You need to have the right offer in front of the right people. When this happens, your customers will know what's up and buy what you've got. Now, this can be most useful to an online business, but if you have a brick-and-mortar business, social media can also be effective. Speaking of effective, let's take a look at another way to use social media in the workplace. Communicating with your customers. Your customers may have something nice to say about your products or services, and they might leave you a positive review. On the other side of the coin, you have the negative reviews. This is your chance to rectify the situation and talk to them. You want to be authentic and helpful. Some may be unwilling to talk, and you may have lost a customer. If that's the case, then it is what it is. Otherwise, you might want to solve the problem and help them out. This could mean giving them store credit or their money back. This all depends on your policy. Social media is one way for your customers to communicate with you. Third, Offer a little bonus for those who have followed you on social media or have signed up for your email newsletter. Give them a bit of extra value so they feel appreciated as a customer. This can be a coupon for 10% off, buy one get one free special, or something else. You may keep track of your followers and you may offer them something nice as a way to say thank you. If you do that, you might have lifelong customers. Finally, we have a behind-the-scenes post. Talk about what's going on behind the scenes with your business. What kind of specials are you planning on putting together in the near future? What kinds of products or services are you planning to release? Give your customers what appears to be VIP access into something that might seem exclusive. They'll love that feeling of importance just for being one of your biggest fans on social media. And that'll do it for this presentation. I hope you found it enjoyable. Social media shouldn't be used for personal things when you're in the workplace. But what you can do is use it as a way to drum up new business. You can offer promotions, a behind-the-scenes look, or use it as a way to communicate with your customers. No matter what the platform, there is no underestimating the power of social media. If you like this presentation, tell us what you think. Better yet, let us know what your strategies are for social media in the workplace. In this presentation, we're going to talk about the differences between a manager and a leader. We'll be talking about the traits that either of them have, and to that end, it will also give us a glimpse into what makes them different. Since this is such an exciting topic, I want to keep the introduction short and get started. So, here we go. First and foremost, managers will focus on themselves, while the leader will focus on the team. A leader is someone who will delegate responsibility while taking on their own. They want to instruct people on a team as to what needs to be done, and they will be there if and when needed. A manager, on the other hand, will credit themselves for the success because they directed the team. If they fail, then they will blame the employees for failing to follow instructions. Sadly, this is where employees will resent them. And to that end, we segue into the next point, and that is managers are directors, while leaders are action takers. And yes, managers will direct people and tell them what to do while they do nothing. Meanwhile, leaders will take action themselves and can enlist the help of their employees to do other parts of the task. Of course, if there are other things that need to be done, a leader will delegate. They will give their team members other responsibilities. So it's important that you make sure you assign your employees tasks that you know they can do well and are competent in. Now, you're welcome to train them and show them how it's done if they don't know already. A leader can do their best to teach their team members something that can be a challenging task. They do this with the confidence that their employees will do it well, and it'll be like second nature. Next, leaders will hold achievements to a high regard, while a manager will care about the results. So again, a manager will focus less on the team and care more about the end result. If they succeed, the credit will be given to them. And of course, failure can occur and blame games get played. Leaders, on the other hand, will recognize the achievements of their team members and not just themselves. They will acknowledge those who performed a vital service in meeting certain goals. Leaders understand that there is hard work and dedication. They know that their team members possess that. Finally, leaders are innovators, while managers stick to the same old, same old. Indeed, leaders have the ability to think outside the box. If they struggle to find ideas, they'll rely on their employees or team members. And that can start with just a regular conversation. A leader may take notes, and ideas may start to form. For a manager, this isn't the case. A manager isn't as innovative and won't have the best ideas. Thus, they want to stick to the same old, same old. Again, they care more about results and couldn't care less if there are ideas being floated around. So it's always a good idea for leaders to think about what they can do going forward that can make things better for their business. As a result, there can be more profits, more growth, and a whole host of other things. With that in mind, this concludes this presentation. I hope you found some of the information to be quite eye-opening. It's a clear no-brainer that a leader will do a lot better than a manager.